On this set again?
Yeah, I'm keeping it here, yeah.
The sound is coming direct. It's not coming through this.
Well, someone said there's a control here, though.
Yeah, there is behind that panel. Behind that panel box. Jerry, the black button.
You want the king size one?
Yeah.
There's a couple artists who kind of meet with a bunch of students here in terms of their kind of different hobbies. So this is the only kind of room we have available. So if you don't mind, we'd like to use some videos just of what's going on in the auditorium. There'll be that space because there'll be people coming in here. So we'd like to use this room for those students who want to get in on the kind of alternative conference
How does this work? Did you ever do this before? Should I shoot another longer, or I can put it where... No, we can shoot in there, but there are no controls in it.
That logic all the way down the line. The point is why someone makes their work. And the reversal is not true. By making the work, one isn't supporting the war in Vietnam, nor is the government hiding behind the work.
But the philosophical foundations of the war in Vietnam were initiated with the idea of the defense of this kind of metaphysical and spiritual freedom. Who is they?
You sound like a New Hampshireite or something. Who is they? Them all the time. The government. I mean, it should have more definition.
I would say the ruling class of the United States.
Well, that in itself is such a broad, sweeping generalization.
I don't think it's broad. I don't think it's more than 5,000 men.
Well, they can't be dealt with when they're always pinned, when they're not pinned down, but when they have such slippery generalizations attached to them. You talk very specifically about your own work, and yet when you move into this realm, it always seems to end up as they or them or some amorphous
Like the
group.
Davidson family, the Rockefeller family, Mellon family, the Ford family, families of names.
We got to talk about how they individually are really involved in art and the war effort.
Have you heard of the Mellon Foundation? That's right, the Rockefeller
That's right, I heard of it.
Museum of Modern Art.
No.
The Whitney Museum, the Guggenheim Museum.
It's too easy. Look, it's too easy. It's such an oversimplification. It becomes easy.
Heard a record on it, we play it over and over and over again. We've all heard this record over and over again, but it doesn't say anything. So what are you trying to say?
I'm just saying art is not something which is absolute in the studio. Art, even in the studio, is a relative social
Now,
phenomenon.
how are you going about doing this? You yourself, what are you doing?
I am not going about doing it. What I'm trying to do is desperately achieve some kind of concrete analysis of the situation, the concrete situation, and try desperately to develop some concrete action that can spring from that. I don't know. I'm confused and trying to examine it this way.
But I think it'd be more to the point to examine it on a much more specific level rather than going through a kind of can.
Ich glaube, es ist wichtig, wenn man, wie Karl Andres andeutet, voraussetzt, dass beim Künstler ein Interesse für politische Veränderung da ist. Und wenn man auch weiß aus Erfahrung, dass der Künstler von sich aus ein besserer Politiker ist als die Politiker, muss man trotzdem über das politische Konzept reden. Also man muss bereit sein, auch sozusagen jedes einzelne Denkmal, jedes einzelne Konzept zu erläutern, damit sozusagen jetzt konfrontiert wird, die Modelle untereinander und unter Umständen auch Irrtümer erscheinen, die innerhalb der Kunst wachsen. Denn wir können nicht für uns in Anspruch nehmen, als Künstler keine Fehler. Wir sind, und das könnte der Wert einer solchen Konferenz sein, darauf angewiesen, mit anderen Menschen zusammen diese Fehler zu entdecken.
He's saying that as artists you should be prepared to deal with every single concept that you can do, bring into your work, and be aware of the fact that you can make mistakes. Mistakes will be made by everyone, and that the object of a conference such as this should be that such mistakes are discovered, that you discover them together and work them out.
That would be absolutely.
Insofern kommt es mir darauf an, klarzumachen, was kann aus dem Begriff Kunst, also aus diesem Begriff Kunst heraus, überhaupt geleistet werden. Das ist für mich die Frage. Die Frage, die junge Menschen bewegt, ist ja auch diese zweite Frage. Kann die Kunst etwas leisten, zum Beispiel für die Gesellschaft?
He's working from this general question of what is art, and wondering, he just asked the students downstairs, can art do something for society? This is a question also
Und weiter ist diese Frage, ist damit das menschliche Leben humoristisch, mit dem man es charakterisiert als Gesellschaft? Ist es nicht zum Beispiel vom Marxismus eine unheimliche Vereinfachung, den Menschen zu degradieren zu einem Gesellschaftsleben? Das sind alles erkenntnistheoretische Fragen, die nicht Nein, ich habe gesagt, es kommt jetzt darauf an, des Weiteren zu fragen, ist es überhaupt berechtigt, von der Gesellschaft zu reden, die ganz, macht man nicht schon den ersten Fehler, wenn man davon spricht, dass der Künstler etwas zu leisten hat für die Gesellschaft? Das ist die große Frage.
First mistake then is saying that the artist has something to produce for society in general, because we can't generalize and speak of society, of course, we can't go there.
Ja, und hier habe ich gesagt, ist es nicht ein Irrtum des Marxismus, den Menschen zu degradieren zu einem Gesellschaftsleben?
Oh, and then it's a mistake of Marxism to degrade the individual or the man to simply of being in society, part of society.
Ja, und die weitere Frage ist, hat aber nicht die Kunst oder die menschliche Produktion überhaupt, ich will jetzt nicht die Kunst nur als einen Sektor menschlicher Produktivität bezeichnen, sozusagen der ganzen menschlichen Existenz etwas anzubieten. Dabei würde sich herausstellen in meinem Verstand, dass das Gesellschaftliche nur ein Sektor ist, sozusagen der menschlichen Existenz. dass zur menschlichen Existenz zumindest das Gesellschaftliche gehört als eine Bindung, als eine reale Unfreiheit. Denn im Gesellschaftlichen kann ich nicht frei sein, im Gesellschaftlichen habe ich Rücksicht zu nehmen. Aber ich habe einen Punkt, in dem ich frei bin. Das ist vielleicht schwer zu übersetzen. Hier ist die Frage, hat nicht die Kunst oder menschliches Denken zunächst den menschlichen Freiheitspol zu bedienen?
Whether you, in art, you're actually serving this one's freedom, whichever way you have it. You shouldn't be bound to society, making it just a part of a great society, that your art should serve as a
Yes,
which will offer you freedom.
That's exactly the political rationale which I think is the one that's used to kill peasants in Vietnam.
Das hatten Sie natürlich verstanden. Vielleicht, can you repeat or if you have better and more detail? More detail, you mean this about
The idea that art reflects primarily individual freedom, the freedom of the individual, is based on the idea of the individual as a religiously derived entity.
Yes.
This I do not believe. I believe that man springs from man.
Yes, but we have not to do with believings and with belief. We have to research, to investigate the truth. We have, and that is exactly the possibility of a conference to make processes of consciousness, also jetzt sozusagen Forschung zu betreiben, Erkenntnistheorie zu betreiben, was nun die Wahrheit ist.
The point of this, or such a conference, is that to actually study or investigate what truth is.
I
You're not
cannot,
basing that on religious truth.
I cannot understand in this connection the dependence between Vietnam and the human production at first. Human production is a possibility of his freedom for me. And in the second level, he has to do from this point of freedom his duty for the community, for this terms who remarks Marx in his theory of socialism. And that's a second level. The first level is to produce in the space of freedom, and the second is to feel or to become more and more morality, to work with this product in the society, in the second level. The first level of freedom, the point of human production, the point of the idea, the point of thinking, and to the point of the dependence of human being on metaphysical things. And therefore, I am another man as Karl Andre. I play for the man as connected with metaphysical action. Now, in this.
Well, this will sound a bit off the point, but I don't think it is off the point. We do not have to say what the function or the purpose of art is at all, because mankind without art is inconceivable. I don't know whether anybody can think of a society or culture that did not have art, but you would have to strain to think of it. What I'm saying is that you don't have to say what art does, because art invariably springs up. So, we are the people, that part of society from which the art springs, generally consciously. Of course, it springs unconsciously in other aspects of the society. But for me, you see, it is not freedom. Freedom is one of these metaphysical ideas I don't believe in, because freedom from what? I think true freedom is understanding limit and necessity.
Yes. And here we have the next point to ask, what is human being? Is the human being an entity of two worlds, of the world of the environment here in the belongs to the environments of materialism and positivism and so on. And it is only the possibility of man to be captured in this environment of surroundings of material. It's a possibility of man, not on the other side, a possibility to go out through the screen of information, I will say at first, to the transmission wall in another entity. And what Karl Andre said is for me at first agnosticistic against this human being mind of me. It is another position.
That's fair, I'm not a humanist. I think you are a humanist and I am not.
It is another position, yes, but I think we can speak long over this, and I think now another man has to do and to say anything to this point, because I will not say alone or things for me.
One more question, and I want to hear. Joseph, this philosophical difference between us, and it's also a temperamental difference in a way, I think, but does this come consciously after the work? For me, what I say is a rationalization for things I am not conscious of on a linguistic level. In other words, my work springs from something deeper than my talk.
Yes.
Exactly. And the talk comes after the work. That's true for me? Is that true for you too?
Yes. Okay. Yes, sure.
The truth must be. It's not true for everybody. I think it varies at different times.
The next.
How can one be consistent on a point like that?
Because it might be consistent within one's aesthetic. If one, in a non-humanist or a humanist position, sets about to do something one way or the other, utilizing what we call art in any way, manner, or form, there is a possibility that consciously he can control almost 50% of the situation, which is quite high for a human being to control. The other 50%, of course, is mostly unconscious, but his rationalizations may come before the work. It may be an a priori rationalization, which may change, but not necessarily within the process of making more work. It may change as another a priori rationalization, which leads you to a very tight moral situation. Leads you to the situation of the so-called interaction of the art being put in the societal sphere doesn't influence or change the art, and only how you as a human being are influenced and changed by the society. The art then, of course, becomes completely unnecessary for the society.
Art is never outside of the societal sphere. It's within our
And the question, what can art bring in the culture? What can art bring in our culture, in our specific culture? We have to understand to distinguish between cultures. We have to have more and more consciousness of our specific culture as a culture of narrow, and a culture of system in capture in the positivism. And in this moment, I have to think about the systems of science, of natural science. What is the system of natural science now in the moment, and what is my system as an artist? How can I make larger the mind, the idea of natural science? Are the productions in this culture system, are this the end of the human development? It's not the art possible to make a new way in the development and to go out this culture, to make not regress this culture. That's I want to distinguish this. I'm not against positivism and ratio, yes, and rationalism. I'm only interested to make bigger, to make the consciousness greater. And I think to came out the trap from this culture. That's my problem. And how is the technique for an artist to keep out this way? And that's a political thing. And all political activities have to do with this. And they have sure considered the pragmatical questions every day. Vietnam, sure, that's a very important. The race difficulties and the pollution and so on. And but they can find the best reasons to go against these catastrophes with better ideas from human understanding, from human beings. And that's the new ask, what is human being, what is information, what is thinking, what is culture, what is natural science now, in the past and in the future. How we can make a process from this system to another system. That's my question.
Yeah, I think the two great functions of art always have been, art does two things. It's about holding fast and letting go. That's what art is about in every culture that ever existed.
I think what Joseph is trying to say that the art, instead of holding fast or letting go,
And let me hold fast and let me let go.
Yes.
Concerns are you on paganism?
I think economic survival, like patronage.
No, but I mean, to carry your point to a logical conclusion, I mean, if you can so easily link what you do with where it's shown or where you choose to show it or where other people show it, the patrons of those institutions and their activities, their private activities, and the political implications of their private activities, how closely do you link this all up, seriously?
Well, I would say I am supportive of their world oppression and exploitation.
I mean, hasn't patronage always been a problem in this sense? I mean, think of artists in the past and what they had to put
Well,
up.
societies are not.
Yeah, but patronage has been sometimes much more specific. A very specific individual.
I've never been, except in a commercial relationship, I've never had. You mean private patronage or?
Well, I'm talking about a king, a pope.
Well, I've never been in that relationship. I've never been in any relationship to anyone in art except a market relationship. So
I'm saying that in general, the issue has always been a problem. But I'm asking you how directly you think how much bearing it has on the work.
Well, this is not just a problem of an artist. I think this is a problem of anybody within the society who has an ethical vision on one hand, and his practical life is in contradiction to his own ethical view of the world. But that's a problem everybody would have.
But instead of making an object work of art, we find there's like a problem, and could that be like kind of microcosm, like the kind of public aspect of private intention, and sometimes like the public aspect of doing something that's swamp the private intention. Sure.
I think for myself, I got involved in art in the first place because it was the one area I could see in the society where I could take a complete responsibility for something in the world, and I could say, to the best that I can discharge it, I am totally responsible for this, and I stand on it, literally. I stand on it. And it is the fault of no one else or nothing else if this thing fails.
No, but if you could, would you condition it so that you could have total responsibility? I mean, you kind of...
He does have total responsibility.
I know he does have it, but I mean, so that his control is intact. And if it isn't dependent on kind of like particular supplies or something, or particular whether the situation is strike food or whether
This responsibility is a conditional responsibility, of course, because I don't believe in absolute responsibility, but a conditional relative responsibility as compared to other things. Because, I have devised a three-vector model of a work of art, which has three things, like three lines. If they come together, there's a possibility of a work of art. And the three vectors, they're arbitrary. One is subjective, that is one's own history and abilities. The second is objective, that there is a sufficient demand for the work in the world, the space in the world for it. I mean, I've been in a situation where I could not make works because the world simply did not want these works to exist. There has to be an objective physical situation. And the third is an economic vector, that is, can you command sufficient resources to bring these things together? If those three vectors come together, it's a possibility of an artwork. Not a good one or a bad one, but just a possibility. And half my life in Norris, these vectors have just not flowed, half my life they have flowed. That's nothing to do with whether they're good or bad or really fun. But within that area, I'm talking about the responsibility within that triangulation.
But then say he doesn't have the responsibility, he wants to say, make the economic vector work of, say, you're taking a unitary job in munitions.
Move the chairs around a little, put them all away from the microphone.
Well, I don't really want to be in the munitions industry.
No, but you're doing it particularly for...
I don't believe that, then you're fooling yourself.
No,
Well, that would be because that is something everyone will take a political position on.
No, I think people do, regardless of what people say, it's what they do that's their truth. If anything, if somebody gets a highly paid job in the munitions industry, he loves the highly paid job in the munitions industry. I don't care what he says about what he does about art.
But if these are the questions, if these are your questions, you have to answer yourself why I am an artist, why I am not a chemist, why I am not a farmer. You have to answer yourself this question. At first, you cannot make this ask prolong this art. You have to decide and to make deeper these questions, why I am an artist and on what places I can find the reasons for this. And every day to control your activity. That's, I think necessary. Huh? And I think in this process you can become an answer, a good answer, I think.
I'd like to find out.
It is only a question of human possibilities as a product, as a free being for new things in the world. Production for me, real production for me depends not on the given environment, but it is a new gift in the world. That's the creativity mind for me. And creativity mind for me is goes together with the idea of freedom. Freedom, creativity, production of human being is a new gift to the environment. We can see authors as a material from the past, from the history. As a creativity is every day to find a new gift to the environment. That's for me, man. Can you...
Joseph, I would say, consciously, my rationale is just the opposite. There's nothing new under the sun, and I don't believe in freedom at all, I believe in necessity. But these are just words. We're like scholars of the 11th century in the University of Paris, arguing faith and good works or something. It's strictly a...
Yeah,